Without further ado, let's go to the first part of the session with the key insights from my colleague, Filipe Murta. Filipe, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for the warm welcome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Felipe. I work in European projects at App Success. And given the idea of this webinar by talking about European funded projects and then SDG 4 for quality education, well, I guess the main idea is to understand a little bit how we got there. So the idea here is to provide you some key insights on how the Sustainable Development Goals are in alignment with EU policies and how EU-funded programs are part of this endeavor as instruments. Can we maybe go to the next slide, please, Sandra? Thank you. So this topic has become especially important right now as we are reaching almost the milestone of the SDGs, which is the year of 2030. And it actually has a further call on global commitments that we can translate into concrete scalable actions. And in this case, education has a special place there because it's not only SDG 4, but education is actually the basis of many of the other fulfillment of the SDGs agenda for other SDGs. So it has a very important spillover effect that we're going to see next. So can we please go? Thank you. Well, why are we discussing SDGs and Europe exactly? So the first thing that we need to understand is that the agenda in 2015 was adopted unanimously by all UN member states, which means that all EU member state countries also agreed to it. So these countries committed then not only as a national perspective for action, but also as a bloc in the European Union. So the SDGs outline the 17 SDGs. So we have different targets for each of the SDGs, and they work from that moment on as a global normative framework. What does it mean? It means that it's not legally binding, but it should work as a direction that blocks such as European Union or national and regional strategies should integrate into their plans. Next, please, Sandra. Yes, so how exactly has the European Union aligned with the SDGs? So right now, as we can see, we have this commitment intrinsically embedded into the European policy and strategy as per the President's political guidelines, which is what Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the Commission, has outlined for the years of 2024 to 2029, in which they have the priorities and the ambition according to the SDGs and the whole government approach. So this whole government approach is also an approach on how to take this SDGs into the European policy making. So the first is we need policies that actually go with the SDGs. We need to engage with stakeholders that are relevant to this fulfillment. We need tools to monitor and report on how are we achieving the SDGs. We need not only internal but external action and therefore EU engagement in the world. We also need a governance in a collaborative way of in a cohesive member states socioeconomic policy and also fiscal policy. So this is the European semester. We need budget directed at the fulfillment of activities that relate to the SDGs, which is the MFF, the multi-annual financial framework, and also the Next Generation EU. We need regulation to achieve that through obligation, and we also need coherence in sustainable development between all of the 27 member states. And for this, I'm not going very much into this, but we have the 6 priorities on the image in the right, and each of the SDGs that relate to each of the Commission's priorities at the moment. Next, please. So this is not really new. Since 2001, actually, the EU had already strategy for sustainable development based on reports, but indeed, it was much endorsed and strengthened based on the UN 2030 agenda adopted in 2015, as I mentioned. But it was actually incorporated right after that, because already in 2016, we have the communication from the Commission through Next Steps for a Sustainable European Future, in which the first time the SDGs were actually outlined as a necessity to be mainstreamed into the European policy framework. And this refers to the internal action. We also have the new European Consensus on Development in 2017 related to the response for external action. And then this is actually renewed and taken further when, for the first time also, the Commission's new political guidelines in 2019 that cover the period until 2024, We also had the priorities from the Commission related to the SDGs, including the Green Deal that we talk a lot about this, and the European Green Deal, and also the European Green and Digital Transition, which are also part of this. And here's a bonus, because in 2023, the Commission actually also put out there a voluntary review on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda to assess how well is Europe doing on that regard. So this is not new. This alignment is not new for Europe, nor is it new for member states. So maybe we can go to the next slide, please, Sandra. But what we need beyond policy, we also need something that actually calls for action. And this is where we go to regulation towards operational tools. So the MFF from 2021 launched a budget for many projects, already relating and from a document called the Sustainable Development Goals in EU Budget delivered by the European Parliament. And then we have the SDGs contribution to each of the programs. So many of them are cited, but for the interest of this webinar, I have chosen specifically Horizon Europe and Erasmus Plus, as we'll be diving into that much further. So for European, for the Horizon Europe, if we go to the regulation that gave birth to the Horizon Europe from 2021 to 2027. So Regulation 2021-695, not going to read much into it, but it is in line with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the SDGs, and the Paris Agreement. And after that, we can see program implementation should reinforce the pursuit of the SDGs and the commitment of the Union and its member states to implementing the 2030 Agenda. So even in its birth, the preamble of Horizon Europe regulation shows that SDGs are embedded in this strategy. We can go to the next one, please. And the same goes for Erasmus Plus. Actually, in the regulation 2021-817, it's a bit different here because we have achieved the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The program is intended to contribute to mainstreaming climate actions. And this maybe brings the idea that it's only focused on SDG 13, when actually, if we go back to the Sustainable Development Goals in the EU budget from the European Parliament document, we have several SDGs are interlinked. Hence, refers to climate action or environment includes several SDGs that are not always stated. Therefore, the program is intended to contribute to mainstreaming climate actions, meaning many SDGs interlinked. And also in this same document, we have that Erasmus Plus program with the budget focuses mainly on education, therefore SDG number 4. So this is already very related to how we perceive SDGs and European strategies, both for policy and regulation. And talking about education, we can go to the next one. Yes, yes, thank you. So where exactly does education stand in all of this? So SDG number 4, which is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. I had to take these 10 targets and put some keywords here. So it covers education access, quality, inclusion, equity, sustainability, infrastructure, training, skills, so many things that are very important for all of the SDGs. And then the European Union has, at this moment, 444 initiatives between legal acts, and legal acts here, I mean regulation directives, for example, and also preparatory documents such as communication, and therefore not legally binding, but still that relates to SDG number 4. And here we have this chart in which we can see that most of the documents are related to specific targets within SDG number 4. Meaning 4.4, which relates to relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, entrepreneurship. We have then 4.3, which is about ensuring equal access to all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education. And we also have 4.5, which relates to equal access to all levels of education and vocational training for the vulnerable, including persons with disabilities, indigenous people, and children in vulnerable situations. So this is the main focus of these initiatives. And it's actually transmitted to both programs, as we can see the next slide, please. Yes, as you can see in both programs, I have actually kind of made my own idea on how they relate. So for 4.3, as we were mentioning, actually in Horizon Europe, we have not only R9 projects that contribute to this affordable technical, vocational, and tertiary education, but also we have the call for open access. Whilst in Erasmus Plus, we also have this big focus on capacity building in higher education and vocational educational training. For skills and employment, in Horizon Europe, we have a lot about digital transformation, especially considering that we are in the green and digital transition. So we need also skills for emerging technologies, and this in future competences. While in Erasmus Plus, we have green digital entrepreneurship. So as you can see here in this part, not going much into the whole slide, but yes, they are very much aligned with these mainly 4 targets. So we can go to the next slide, please. So in a nutshell, what we need to understand here is 1, European priorities, both normal and legal frameworks support completely SDGs and are intrinsically linked to this fulfillment. Second, EU-funded projects such as Horizon Europe and Erasmus+, they reflect how relevant stakeholders are bringing into this process and reflecting action to deliver greater impact to society. And also, we have that education is a main variable for impact in all SDGs. And we're going to see more of how this is concretely done with some examples that will follow next. Well, thank you for listening.
From the CATALISI project, Dr. Evdokimos Konstantinidis. Sorry if I mispronounce your name, but you'll have the opportunity to introduce yourself, a short bio, and also the project. So we have 5 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for the introduction. Evdokimos Konstantinidis, postdoc researcher at the Lab of Medical Physics and Digital Innovation at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. And I'm here to present actually our experience through the CATALISI project. CATALISI about the catalyzation of institutional transformations of higher education institutions through the adoption of acceleration services. And our Aristotle University of Thessaloniki pathway is mainstreaming open science and sustainable research practices. So next slide, please. So CATALISI is about helping and supporting higher education institutions to successfully implement a strategy and the pathway for transformation through the adoption of acceleration services. We have 7 implementers, higher education institutions, 4 facilitators, actually those that provide the acceleration services. And the 7 acceleration services are applied mainly in 3 domains. Next slide, please. So for supporting the higher education institutions to design their pathway, actually, we start with exploring, assessing actually the intervention areas of the implementers and having a SWOT analysis. And then we co-design together the transformational pathway where they have to set the objectives, the action plan, the visualization indicators. Then we have the implementation phase where actually the acceleration services are applied within the framework of living labs. And then the final step is the final assessment and the policy recommendations based on the indicators. Next slide, please. So I mentioned in the beginning that the acceleration services are applied in 3 domains. The first domain is research, careers, and talent support. And in our case, we focus more on the recognition of qualification and research careers. Next slide. The second domain is on research modus operandi, and here AUTH focuses on mainstreaming of open science and digitization of research. And the third domain in the next slide is sustainable financing schemes. Next slide, please. So open science is most probably all of us, all of the attendees know it's a global movement, a collaborative effort by research institutions, policymakers worldwide to foster a more open and inclusive scientific ecosystem. So it's about increasing transparency and accessibility by applying the reusability of the results and of existing research resources, dataset scripts, and etc. Next slide, please. So why it's important? Because it can facilitate a lot of informed decision making based on which can help policymakers, journalists, and the general public to make informed decisions. Civil engagement, because it makes more transparent actually the results and how the research is done. Inclusive knowledge access. So open science means that it is not only for those that they have the infrastructures or for those that they have access to a higher education institution, but it's open general for researchers and students from developing countries as well. And it's a global collaboration that among researchers worldwide, especially bridging high resource and low resource settings, accelerating solutions to serve global problems. Next slide, please. So the pillars of open science are actually fair data, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, research integrity, next generation metrics to move beyond the impact factor metric, which is currently what it matters mainly. Citizen science, education and skills. So it's about training on open science and fair data, rewards and incentives to understand, but also to apply on the incentives that could make this change of culture. And the European Open Science Cloud actually is the mechanism to try to bring all this together as far as open science is concerned. And next slide. So we all know that data sharing is, although we all know the value of data sharing and open data, of open research data, it's not easy to be done because there are many barriers in opening data. And next slide. And so in our case, for AUTH, the pathway of AUTH for open science, why is it important? Because I actually want to build this culture of openness, transparency, collaboration in the institution, but also beyond. Enhance research quality and impact by promoting reproducibility, integrity, visibility in citations, and interdisciplinary collaboration. And also to empower researchers by educating them by introducing open science training and curricula, and also the importance to move from what open science is to why and how and why it matters. Next slide, I think it's the last one. So how the project helped us move forward? It helped us creating a structured framework for universities to design, implement. It actually allowed us and the other 6 higher educational institutions to exchange best practices and experiences. And also it supports us with capacity building and skills development in order to promote this mindset shift towards transparency, collaboration, and accessibility in research. If I can also comment, I would like to say that this is not mainstream yet. There are a lot of challenges. Even in the university, it's not easy to convince about open science. So CATALISI is the first step, but we need a lot more effort towards this direction. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your project presentation. Now we will advance to the roundtable discussion, and as I also introduced in the beginning of the session, this roundtable discussion will be composed by a first round of questions that is a generic question to all projects. So each one of you will have the time to try to provide your perspective on the question that we did. After that, we'll have a second round of questions that is specific for each one of your project, and then we will open the questions to the audience. As we introduced it in the beginning of the session, all questions must go from the Slido. So you have the link on the chat. So anything from the audience, if you want to ask a specific question or a question to all of the speakers, please use Slido or vote for one of the questions that already are there in order for us to select the most voted ones and ask to our speakers. So, okay, I see all speakers have your camera on. So thank you so much for doing it. And also thank you again for your insightful presentations. And now I will ask one first generic one. I think some of you already introduced it briefly or trying to do this connection between the topic, the theme of our session, and how your project is trying to shape the sustainable and quality education. So the question is very clear, and I'm asking to all of you, and whoever wants to start can start. So here is the question. Okay, thank you so much. So how does your project approach to education and training empower individuals to drive positive change in their communities and careers? So who wants to start?
I could start if you want.
Okay, go ahead, Jose.
Okay, thank you so much. So from the point of view of GREENVERSITY, remember the framework for sustainability mindset thinking in higher education. We are not only preparing this framework of competencies, but also we are checking how to assess it. And this is a slide that I just skipped on purpose because of this question. We are also introducing some tools both for educators and also for students, because it's not only having a framework, it's just also helping people to be introducing this framework and to understand which are the reasons behind those topics. So that means framework and accreditation system, courses for educators, and also courses for students, and also some initiatives for networking of students, because this green thinking needs debate and needs to understand some other people from other areas of knowledge, and not only, let's say, the relationship between educator and a student, but also between students from different disciplines. So those are the different mechanisms that we are also sharing in our project.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Daniel. So our project YouLead, because we use digital serious game and innovative training tool to, educate at the same time the coaches, the trainers, and also the youth in the society. So I think we are using this project to make entrepreneurial education more accessible, engaging, and inclusive. And because through this game, the youth, the people who will be practicing through this game, they will go through real life scenarios. So they can actually use this game to experiment with decision making, problem solving, teamwork, and then they learn how to find an equilibrium between what are the responsibilities and what are their institutional obligations, so that it empowers them not to build their career only, but also to think positive and how to make changes in the communities, like from local business ideas to and how they can boost employment, how can they behave more responsibly, and how to make a social enterprise and tackle other environmental or cultural challenges. I hope my answer was clear.
Yes, it was. Thank you so much. Cynthia, Yuka, you have your hand raised. You can go next.
Yes, thank you. The European Skills Data Space provides a human-centric ecosystem to connect the individual's needs and opportunities to match those needs. And in a way, I think that our project is kind of complementary to many of the other projects here. For example, YouLead project, because in my part of the project, we aim to support the discovery of the quality education and higher education learning opportunities that match the needs of learners in Europe. And by bringing the learning opportunities data accessible to learners Europe-wide, we can diversify the opportunities for learners, and by creating better matches between learners' needs and learning opportunities, we can create precision learning and kind of personalized learning pathways that create diverse and even unique skill sets and degrees.
Okay. Evdokimos, you are next.
Yes, thanks. Actually, through CATALISI, we try to bring open science and co-creation to education by giving students and staff real hands-on experience with collaboration, data sharing, and innovation. And this helps the students think beyond the classroom and act as change agents promoting openness, transparency, societal impact. And actually, this is actually what the Living Labs do. Living Labs, the main principles of Living Labs is real life settings experimentation. And we try to remove the walls between the university and the city. And if I give one short example, some years ago, since we are working towards this, CATALISI was actually the catalyst for us to move towards this. Years ago, we brought some Parkinsonian patients in the university in order to try to teach experiential teaching actually for co-creation and living lab activities for students in the university engineers. And after they collaborated together, patients and students, we had some reflections from students, third-year engineers, saying that I could never realize what skills and power I have in my hands from the university in order to solve real problems for the community and the patients. This was actually what makes Living Labs really important in the universities.
Nuria? Go ahead.
Thanks, Daniel. Well, I think our project answers directly this question, given that it is specifically XR4ED education. So one of the biggest advantages we see here is that we can provide personalized classes and training. So one of the biggest things to help people advance their careers is that classes can be completely personalized to them. You can repeat the class as many times as you want. You could be in the classroom either with a real teacher driving a virtual avatar, sorry, or directly interacting with a virtual agent. And this gives lots of possibilities for students maybe with special needs or just students that need a little bit more repetition in the classroom to fully understand concepts. So I think we've already seen with the mock courses, for example, how easy it is for students and trainees to get access to information all over the world and from the best universities. This could be the next step. And as we were saying before, any kind of teaching in virtual reality is extremely helpful to improve engagement with a student, for example. And another aspect that I find very important is that I notice very often in the classroom, when we're teaching a master classroom at university, you notice that there's students that they might fall behind because they're shy to ask in the classroom, they're shy to come to office hours with the professor. They maybe stay behind because they don't know exactly how to deal with the current form of education that we have. And being in a more, let's say, private and individualized type of classroom might help these people to not, stay behind and be able to get up to speed with the rest of the students. So yeah, I see a lot of potential for virtual reality in this area, obviously.
Okay, great. Great for your insights on this particular question. It went more fast than I was expecting, so I think we can go to a second generic question maybe after we go to the specific ones. So if each one of you, you could share a specific tangible outcome from your project that you believe will have the biggest long-term impact on the future of education. So who wants to start here? Nuria, maybe you have already your mic.
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very much related with the previous one, in fact. So tangible outcomes of our project, we don't have them yet. As I was mentioning in the presentation, we're still in the process of developing the framework and extending the framework and having people using it. But having said that, we do have experience in our research group in using virtual reality to teach nursing students to understand the anatomy of the human body, for example. And it has had very good advancements because virtual reality is extremely powerful to understand 3D concepts, to see things in context. So I see it not only in the field of education, I can see other fields like architecture, traveling, learning geography, or even history that could give you a lot of content, way more than what you have these days in just a book or a video. So I think this will have a great impact, especially, I mean, we can of course include videos and presentations and audio in virtual reality, but I think where it's going to have the strongest impact is going to be in all the areas that require 3D knowledge, 3D concepts, and understanding how something fits within a larger environment that you cannot easily represent in a book or in just a video. So yeah, I think I would say that for now, and then let's see how the project is completed very soon, actually. So
That's true. Let's hope that we achieve all the outcomes that we propose to.
I
Okay,
mean,
great.
we'll have the first demos in December, as you know. So hopefully we can do further dissemination after that.
Okay, great. So Jose, you're next. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Well, in our case, we've been talking a lot about a framework which is being done by experts from different disciplines, but now it's a good time to add that it's been also co-created by actors from let's say professional sector. So we have found some different profiles in the economic, environmental, and social aspects that are being also that are co-creating to this framework. So it's not just, let's say, a happy idea from the academia. So it's a co-shared idea in order to make it for real. And concerning something tangible, which will be for sure, we really trust that will be really, let's say, capable of promoting the implementation of this framework, is that we are also working in an accreditation systems. So for different, all universities in Europe, or most of them, have protocols in order to, let's say, credit the teaching that they are doing. So one of the regional accreditation agencies is part of the project in order to make this accreditation. So it's not only something that can be, let's say, voluntary for universities that want to do it. We want to implement it and make it for regulation. So that's why we understand that could be a really tangible in order for the sustainability of the outcomes of the project.
Great. Next we have Evdokimos. So
Yes,
go.
actually, in our case, I think that the tangible outcome is the lecture on open science that we have designed and introduced, integrated in the medical curriculum. So this actually ensures, imagine that you speak about open science to students of in the medical school. So this ensures actually that future health professionals are not only aware of what FAIR is, findable, accessible, interoperable, and usable, and open data, but also learn how to apply these principles in research, teamwork, and innovation. And we teach them how, we start with teaching them not how to open their data or how to produce, let's say, open science or material for open science, but how to use open data. So we try to foster this concept of open science so they understand the value, and then when they go out, when they become professionals, actually, they know the value, so they start producing open science as well. And this prepared the field to the announcement of a new assistant professor position at the School of Medicine at AUTH, with a focus on digital, technological, and open innovation in health. So, and this marked a significant step forward in institutionalizing expertise and academic continuity in the field.
Wonderful. I hope you achieve that. Cynthia, you had your hand raised, right? So
Yeah. I mean, of course, we all will talk at one point, so I just removed the hand. Yeah, for us, the project YouLead, the biggest long-term outcome would be the creation of an open modular digital toolkit that incorporates the serious game, the audiobook, and the animation palette. All these resources are not just for one project. It will remain available for the youth workers, the teachers, and the students across Europe to adapt and reuse. In the long run, that means that this project will create resources which will provide affordable education for all, with a different which will cover the core entrepreneurial skills that are necessary, and contribution to lifelong learning. And it's also a way for us to reduce the disparities and the excess of education, especially in the entrepreneurship field in general. Just to add a point, Daniel, like today I have also two of my colleagues, Ramona and Kubra, as a panelist. So ladies, just feel free to compliment or add anything if you want once I speak. Yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, you did great. Okay, yeah, sure. Anytime if you need to jump in and you want to complement anything that Cynthia said, you are more than welcome to do so. You can.
Thank you. Can I share a specific tangible outcome? I'm not sure, but I'll try. Well, my project or the use case is a part of our long-term plan to finally get the data flowing between European higher education institutions. It surprised me all the time that they are still sending Excel files with the students' names in them. And my project builds on discovery of learning opportunities, which is a major issue at the moment, especially with the European University alliances. But the dream is much bigger. We also need to create services for enrollment and shared digital campuses and solutions for teaching and learning, etc. The European Higher Education Interoperability Framework under the European Digital Education Hub has recognized 8 use cases altogether, one of which is the discovery. So we have quite a lot of work to do to create interoperable services and skills data spaces, one of the solutions in our toolbox. So the tangible expected outcome would be that we have the tools to make learning opportunities discoverable and take more steps towards the big picture. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Ramona, you had your hand raised, right? If you want to say something or complement something that Cynthia said, you can go now.
Yeah, just to add that our serious game, it's based on a scenario where the player identifies problems from their own communities, and they will be able to generate potential solution. Just to add this link with the communities.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Maybe we can dive deep into each project specific questions. So project specific questions. So Evdokimos, the question for you is, how has the CATALISI project supported university in embedding open science into their culture, and what challenge have you encountered in making this transformation sustainable? And also, if you want to connect with the global change like climate change, poverty, and public health, yes, you can do that as well.
Thanks. Actually, CATALISI has helped universities like AUTH to design dedicated open science pathways, integrating open practice into teaching, training, and rewarding system, as I mentioned before. So the main challenge in sustaining this is this cultural change. It's that it requires a commitment, high level and low level. From high level and low level commitment in order to change this institutional DNA. So we go towards open science, but as I presented before, you see that there are many barriers towards this open science. And these barriers, I think, most of them are part of the culture. This is why I mentioned before that we try to teach them not how to share their data, in order to avoid making them feel uncomfortable, losing control of data, etc. So it's always about the culture. This is why we also design technology in general, that it doesn't make open science faster or better or whatever, but it addresses the fears of the researchers. If you see, there is also another report from the European Commission on the fears and concerns of the researchers towards open science and students, and they prefer to store data in their private disks, computers, or maximum to the institutional servers, etc., but not on the cloud, in order to avoid losing control. So actually, this has helped us a lot. Also, what we try to do is as I mentioned before, we do this reproducibility of results and resources, etc. So we try to link this with less computing power consumption, to make them understand that open science is not only for getting accreditation or having the control of your data, but also that they support, by adopting open science, they support this green transition. Of course, for the poverty and health, we are a medical school, so we are always, having health in mind and poverty, but also the living labs, the acceleration service that we supported, they act always beyond the main objective of the study or the experimentation. They always they act as observatories of societal challenges, actually, but on the local ecosystem. So for instance, every time we do experimentation in our university, we try also to observe the environment to understand if what we do actually affects other situations, or if we can see other challenges that could be brought back to the university in order for finding solutions for other challenges as well. But this takes place only in the local ecosystem where the experimentation happens. For the global, it's actually what the living labs do. Again, it's the global, from local to global.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this perspective. I didn't know that students prefer to keep their data on their own laptops and drives than share it with and put those in the cloud and share with others. That's a great finding. Thank you so much for sharing that. Next, I don't know, Yuka, if you have something that you would like to bring to this part of the discussion, or
Yeah, I actually had a question for Evdokimos.
sir? Yes, okay. Go
If
ahead,
there's
sir.
time, do you think that?
Yeah, it can be very short, yeah, but
Thank
that's
you.
totally fine.
Do you think that a European Open Science Cloud nodes would bring some kind of a solution to that problem?
So could you reply if?
Sorry?
Could you reply sorry, repeat the question?
About the research data, does the Open European Science Cloud nodes bring some kind of solution to that? They are being built at the moment.
Yes, actually, because these nodes, actually, the EOSC EU nodes, actually is about keeping the data or the resources to the universities, to the different countries, so there is a better control. What we try to do through EOSC, because we have also a project in EOSC, is that we have developed a system that is similar to the platforms for home sharing. So it's like platforms for home sharing based on nodes, distributed nodes. Every researcher, we try to democratize, and every researcher can have a node. They keep their data there, and we go from data sharing to data visiting, which means that if you have the data, I send my script to your data, to your node. The processing takes place there. I get back the results, but you know who processed and what. And we try to link also this with the researcher's career, as every time I publish something based on the results that I have, your name, the data holder's name, will be there as well. So we try to give also incentives on data sharing, because as I said, I mean, there are a lot of barriers that are mainly cultural barriers, that take time, but yes, EOSC works towards this.
Great. Thank you, Lucas, for your question as well. Yeah, you can try to interact and do questions to the other speakers as well. We have to be only mindful about the time, but yeah, it's only possible to do that, and I think it enrich a lot our discussion and our round table. So we can open the questions to our audience, and as you know, we are doing and collect your questions through Slido. So I will ask my colleague to share Slido and see which question is the most voted one to do to our speakers. Okay, here it is. So I think it's for everyone. It's not a particular question for one of the speakers. So each one of you can jump in and ask and give your perspective on that. So do you have a clear vision on adapting education for vulnerable groups like pensioners, disabled, low income, so they aren't left behind in modern tools use? So who wants to give your perspective and answer on this particular question? Evdokimos, you can go.
Yeah, I can start with, I think, partially covering the first question about the clear vision. Actually, as a lab, but I think as a university as well, we have this vision of being inclusive. I will mention a couple of examples in order to share with you my experience. We have created at some point a community because of the Living Lab, a community of older adults that were actually not participants in studies that we ran, but actually they were collaborators, co-creators, which means that they had to go through what we do, desk research, experimentation. We used to call them early stage researchers over 65. And they had also an ID card, so they felt part of the university. This is one example. The other example is that we have also, I think it's a governmental service, not service, actually something that comes from the government, that they encourage and they have this long-term education. So actually, they pay low income, I think, students or researchers to participate in long learning life programs, etc. And we, as a university, we have to prepare all these courses tailored to the specific needs or profiles of the people that we have. My 2 bits.
Okay, great. Cynthia?
Yeah, so like I said before as well, when I presented our project, so our project is all about inclusion because we are creating the resources which are accessible to the public in general. So, and you don't need to have a lot of, like, you don't need even a laptop, because our serious game have a web version and also a mobile version. So as long as you have a phone with you, you can access the resources. And we designed the serious game in such a way that it's very user friendly, such as like it's simple and really easy to navigate. We don't use complicated jargons, so it was so that it can be, you know, used by people who doesn't have digital literacy or who don't know all these complicated jargons. So in a way, I think we are trying to adapt our game and all the resources to a wider public as much as possible.
Great. Any of the other speakers want to add something here? Okay, Flip, go ahead. You can also intervene, of course.
I don't intend to add anything to it, but rather to extend the question. There's an important part of the vulnerable groups, which also means, okay, we're talking about low income, etc. But there is one part that if we talk about education, especially if we're talking about online or technology related education, we also need to talk about digital literacy. And in this regard, I would like to ask you if you have any insights on how to deal with digital illiteracy in this case, so they are not left behind also.
Okay, great question, Philip. And yeah, any of our speakers would like to mention
Yeah,
this part? Okay.
I can add on. Thanks, Felipe, for the question. But of course, digital literacy is a challenge for all of us. I think for all the speakers would agree with me. But at the same time, when we are creating these resources, which are really simple to use, intuitive, and accessible with low cost, then it's also the starting point. It's also the part of the solution. So I don't know about others, but as part of our Youlead project, we also have incorporated the coach and the mentors and the youth workers who will also help to train the students step by step. And that's why we diversified our resources. It's not only one app, it's also an audiobook, it's also a game. So you can educate yourself in different ways depending on your literacy level. So I think it's part of the solution, and we're addressing that in the challenge.
Okay, Evdokimos can go.
Yeah, if I can comment on top of what Cynthia said, it's actually co-creation. So this is why we use a lot of co-creation. We try to involve the end users, especially those digitally with digital that they don't have digital literacy in the beginning. So we design solutions that could be used by them as well. Just to give an example, years ago in serious games, we had a game that it was a golf sum that you have to move your body and to move the ball. And when you were losing, it says you lost one of your lives. And one of the older others came back to us saying that this is what it writes there. I lost one of my life. I mean, it was really shocking for me. You see, even the language that you use, it has to be not from the researcher point of view, but from the end user point of view. And this asks for co-creation.
You can add your perspective.
Yes, thank you. Our use case has to do with kind of taking the descriptive data of the learning opportunities, which are kind of big lumps of free text, and make it machine readable, or at least make classifications and so on about it. So that makes it more. It provides more ways to automate things and to have different ways of using the data. So I think that might be our take on that, but it's not really clear. I'm not sure if it falls under digital literacy.
Okay, Jose, do you want to add something here that you like to your perspective?
Well, actually, digital illiteracy is not like a point of real focus in our project, since we are not really working on digital tools. So we are more spending our efforts in creating a procedure and also some learning for trainers. So those trainers would go either in a presential or online modes to different groups, and is based on university education. So we are aware of that. Of course, we've been in so many other projects which were focused on those specific targets, but this is not, our, let's say, main beneficiary intended in our project. So for now, we cannot add something like very specific or very strong, just we are aware of that, and we take care for further steps of the application of GREENVERSITY.
Yes, thank you so much. All your perspectives are valuable, so that's why I wanted to also hear from you, Jose. Thank you so much. Maybe we will have time. We have time for the other question that we have here in Slido. So The other one is basically related to what we asked to Nuria. And for the one, I think the last one is for Youlead, right? Philippe, confirm if I'm
Yes, so Evdokimos is the coordinator of Youlead.
Yeah.
okay. So how did the idea of an audiobook came out? As an university primary education teacher, we are testing the use of multimodal education tools. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah.
But not too long because we have to end
Yeah,
the
yeah,
session.
sure. Yeah. First of all,
Yeah.
during the diagnosis phase, when we did all the different breakfast session for our project, so here all our participants really insisted on having something very interactive and not and something different. And so we decided to make the audiobook from their insight and based on the feedback that we got, and because they wanted to have something that corresponds with their real life scenario and also incorporates the entrepreneurial journey. So we tried to incorporate that in the audiobook. And in our Youlead audiobook, it's a series of 6 podcast style episodes. So it's not basically just a book, it's more like podcast series, and then which inspire and educate the young people through sharing their case study, different story, and other stuff. So that's how we got, like, when we did the diagnosis and we asked the participants what do they want from as a digital tool, what kind of things that they would like to have. And this was also actually indicated by the participants who participated in during the breakfast sessions in our 6 different countries. 4 different country, but 6 organizer. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Cynthia, for telling us more about this audiobook. Great. I think there are no other questions. Philippe, I don't know if you have anything that you like to ask to our speakers, like a final question with a very short answer. If not, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think we closed all the questions from the
Yes.
just checking if we did. Yes, I suppose so. Okay, so no, I think it covers it all.
Okay, great. So I think we can start closing the session, slowly closing the session. Think since we don't have any other questions. And first of all, I would like to thank you all, the speakers, for your insightful presentations, for this fruitful and very valuable discussion. I think it was very important to gather different perspectives on how we are shaping the European Fund projects, of course, are shaping the sustainable and quality of the education. So this is very important, and I have to be honest, when we start then planning this event, it was quite difficult to find a way and a connection between all of you, but I think we did it very well, and it worked also very, very well the way that your perspective added to the topic. Also, I want to thank you, Philippe, for your key insights. They were very helpful to steam here the discussion, and your presentation was on the point in terms of the connection of the sustainable development goals and how European funded projects are targeting them at European level. And I also cannot end this session without thanking also to all the team that collaborated and will make this organization possible, the whole session. It was very important, and I want to thank you all, Marina, Sandra, Nika, Ivana, Philippe as well, for your work in organizing this. And also, I cannot end without thank you also to our participants. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you learned it as well. And as I said in the beginning, this session has been recorded, so you can always rewatch again in the future. It will be on the F6S Innovation YouTube channel, I'm sure. And also the other projects will also reshare it in their social and the digital platforms. So I don't know if you if any of you have a final word that you would like to say. So Yuka, Cynthia, Jose, Evdokimos, you are more than welcome to say a final word. If not, I think we can close the session. So, okay, I don't see any. So thank you so much again for your time, for being available, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much. It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.